The Hidden Trap: How Public Housing Keeps the Poor in Poverty. Welcome to the BlackCEO Podcast. Today we're diving into a topic that will challenge your perceptions and shed light on a hidden reality affecting millions of Americans. I recently had the privilege of interviewing Rachel Johnson, a remarkable housing advocate and founder of Help Us Help You Housing Advocacy Assistance, LLC. Rachel's groundbreaking work has exposed a paradox in our society that demands our attention and action. Her tireless efforts to empower those trapped in the public housing system are nothing short of heroic. And the insights she's shared will forever change how we view poverty and opportunity in America. Imagine a system designed to help people, but inadvertently keeping them trapped. A paradox where the very programs meant to provide a lifeline become anchors, weighing down those they aim to assist. This is the stark reality faced by millions of Americans living in public housing or relying on Section 8 vouchers. And we often hear about the American dream, the idea that with hard work and determination, anyone can climb the ladder of success. But what if that ladder is missing a few crucial rungs? What if the system designed to help you climb is actually holding you back, silently sabotaging your every effort to rise? Today, we're going to explore a counterintuitive and deeply unsettling truth. The myths and stereotypes surrounding people in public housing and those using Section 8 vouchers are not just harmful. They're actively hindering progress and perpetuating cycles of poverty. We'll delve into how well-intentioned policies can have devastating unintended consequences and how the very institutions meant to help can sometimes be the biggest obstacles to success. Rachel Johnson's work has uncovered a startling reality. While the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, provides resources to housing authorities for HUD housing participants and Section 8 voucher holders to become self-sufficient. These resources are often not easily accessible. It's like having a key to unlock your potential, but the keyhole is hidden behind a labyrinth of bureaucracy and red tape. But that's just the beginning of this troubling story. Rachel's research has revealed that HUD rules and regulations allow housing authorities discretion to create rules. And when they do, those rules are most times in their best interest, not the participants. It's a classic case of the fox guarding the henhouse. But in this case, the stakes are people's lives and futures. Now, you might be thinking, surely there must be plans in place to help people become self-sufficient. And you'd be right to assume so. Public Housing Authority, PHA plans do include goals for the housing authority. But here's where it gets infuriating and heartbreaking. The terms laid out in the Admissions and Continued Occupancy Policy, ACOP, often don't align with these goals. The result? Very few participants actually become self-sufficient. Instead, many find themselves terminated from the program, losing their housing more often than you might think. This isn't just a statistic. These are real people, real families facing real struggles. The Faces of HUD Housing Facebook group is filled with stories that would break your heart and ignite your anger at the injustice of it all. Let me share with you the story of Maria, a single mother of 3 who has been living in public housing for the past 5 years. Maria works 2 part-time jobs, barely making ends meet. She dreams of becoming a nurse, a goal that would not only fulfill her personal aspirations, but also provide a better life for her children. However, every time Maria takes a step forward, the system seems to push her 2 steps back. When Maria managed to increase her work hours and saw a modest rise in her income, her rent was immediately adjusted upward. This sudden increase in expenses made it nearly impossible for her to save money for her education or future housing. The very system meant to help her was now creating a disincentive to earn more. Determined to overcome these obstacles, Maria learned about a self-sufficiency program offered by HUD. Excited about the opportunity, she tried to enroll. But she was met with vague responses, confusing paperwork, and long wait times. The resources existed, but they were hidden behind a labyrinth of bureaucracy that seemed designed to discourage rather than assist. After months of persistence, Maria finally managed to enroll in the program. She was making progress. Her income was steadily increasing, and she was on track to move out of public housing. But then she received a notice that shattered her dreams. She was being terminated from the program because her income had increased. The very success the program was meant to foster had now disqualified her, leaving her in a precarious position without the stability she needed to truly become self-sufficient. Maria's story is not unique. It represents the real experiences of countless individuals trapped in this paradoxical system.
It's a system where success can be punished, where resources exist but are inaccessible, and where the path to self-sufficiency is blocked by the very programs meant to pave the way. Now, let's consider another story, that of James, a veteran who found himself homeless after struggling with PTSD. James was fortunate enough to receive a Section 8 voucher, which allowed him to secure stable housing. With a roof over his head, James was able to focus on his mental health and eventually secured a part-time job at a local hardware store. As James's mental health improved and he started working more hours, he faced a new challenge. His increased income meant his portion of the rent increased while the voucher amount decreased. This created a constant state of financial instability, as any small increase in income could potentially jeopardize his housing situation. James wanted to pursue additional job training to increase his earning potential, but he found himself caught in a catch-22. If he earned too much, he would lose his voucher before he could afford market rate rent. If he didn't increase his earnings, he would remain dependent on the voucher indefinitely. The very program designed to help him get back on his feet was now keeping him trapped in a cycle of dependency. These stories illuminate the harsh reality faced by millions of Americans. They challenge our assumptions about poverty, hard work, and the effectiveness of our social safety net. They force us to confront uncomfortable truths about the systems we built and the unintended consequences of well-meaning policies. So why does this matter to you? Why should you care about the struggles of people you might never meet, living in circumstances you might never experience? Because this is about more than just housing. This is about the fabric of our society, the promise of an equal opportunity, and the reality of systemic barriers that keep people trapped in cycles of poverty. Think about it. We live in a country that prides itself on being the land of opportunity. We celebrate rags to riches stories and hold up examples of people who have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. But what if those bootstraps are tied to a system that makes it nearly impossible to pull yourself up? The truth is, the stereotypes and myths surrounding public housing and Section 8 vouchers are not just inaccurate, they're actively harmful. They shape policies, influence public opinion, and create a narrative that blames individuals for systemic failures. Let's break down some of these myths. Myth hash 1. People in public housing are lazy and don't want to work. Reality, many residents of public housing are employed, often working multiple jobs to make ends meet. The issue isn't a lack of work ethic, it's a lack of living wages and opportunities for advancement. Myth hash 2. Section 8 vouchers are a free ride. Reality, Section 8 participants still pay rent, typically 30% of their income. The voucher covers the difference between what they can afford and the actual rent. It's not a handout, it's a helping hand that often comes with its own set of challenges and limitations. Myth hash 3. Public housing and Section 8 are temporary solutions. Reality, for many, these programs become long-term situations due to the lack of affordable housing options and the difficulty of becoming truly self-sufficient within the constraints of the system. These myths don't just exist in a vacuum. They inform policy decisions, shape public opinion, and create real barriers for people trying to improve their lives. They contribute to a system that, paradoxically, can trap people in poverty while ostensibly trying to help them escape it. But here's where it gets really interesting, and where Rachel Johnson Johnson's work becomes so crucial. The resources to help people become self-sufficient do exist. HUD provides these resources to housing authorities. So why aren't more people becoming self-sufficient? The answer lies in a complex web of bureaucracy, misaligned incentives, and a lack of accountability. Housing authorities have discretion in creating rules, and often these rules serve the interests of the authority rather than the participants. It's a classic case of institutional self-preservation trumping the needs of the people the institution is meant to serve. Consider the story of David and Sarah, a young couple with 2 children living in public housing. Both David and Sarah work full-time jobs at minimum wage, but their combined income is barely enough to cover their basic needs. They dream of owning their own home one day, but the path to that dream seems impossibly long and winding. When David is offered a promotion at work, they're initially ecstatic. The pay increase would mean an extra $300 a month, money that could go towards savings or additional education. But their excitement quickly turns to dismay when they realize that this increase in income will result in a rent hike that eats up most of the extra earnings. Frustrated but determined, Sarah seeks out information about self-sufficiency programs offered by their housing authority. She's met with vague answers and redirections. When she finally manages to get some concrete information, she discovers that the waiting list for the program is years long. Meanwhile, their children are growing up in an environment where success seems to be punished rather than rewarded. They see their parents working hard but unable to get ahead. The message they're receiving is clear. The system is rigged against them. This story illustrates a cruel irony. The very programs designed to lift people out of poverty can sometimes serve to keep them trapped in it. It's a system that discourages initiative, punishes progress, and perpetuates dependency. But why should this matter to those of us not directly affected by these issues? Because the health of our society depends on the opportunities available to all its members. When millions of people are trapped in a cycle of poverty due to systemic barriers, we all lose out on their potential contributions to our communities and our economy. Moreover, this issue intersects with many other pressing social concerns. It's tied to racial inequality, as people of color are disproportionately affected by these housing issues. It's connected to education, as unstable housing situations can severely impact children's academic performance. It's linked to health outcomes, as the stress of housing insecurity and poor living conditions can lead to a host of physical and mental health problems. In essence, by addressing the paradoxes and problems in our public housing and Section 8 systems, we're not just tackling a housing issue, we're addressing a fundamental aspect of inequality in our society. So, what can be done? How can we resolve this paradox and create a system that truly helps people become self-sufficient? First, we need to challenge our assumptions and the myths surrounding public housing and Section 8 vouchers. We need to recognize that the people utilizing these programs are not looking for handouts. They're looking for opportunities. They're not lazy. They're often working harder than many of us can imagine, against odds that seem insurmountable. Second, we need to demand transparency and accountability from housing authorities. The discretion given to these authorities in creating rules should be balanced with robust oversight to ensure that these rules truly serve the interests of the participants, not just the institutions. Third, we need to make the existing resources for self-sufficiency truly accessible. This means simplifying processes, providing clear information, and offering support to help people navigate the system. It means aligning incentives so that progress towards self-sufficiency is rewarded, not punished. Fourth, we need to rethink our approach to self-sufficiency itself. Instead of a cliff edge where success means immediate loss of support, we should create a gradual slope that allows people to build stability and resources over time. Lastly, we need to amplify the voices of those directly affected by these issues. The Faces of HUD Housing Facebook group that Rachel mentioned is more than just a collection of stories. It's a testament to the resilience, determination, and potential of millions of Americans. By listening to these voices, by sharing these stories, we can begin to change the narrative and drive real change. Rachel Johnson Johnson's work is a call to action for all of us. Whether you're a policymaker, a community leader, or simply a concerned citizen, there's a role for you to play in addressing this paradox. It might be advocating for policy changes, volunteering with organizations that support housing rights, or simply challenging the stereotypes and myths when you encounter them in your daily life. Remember, this isn't just about housing. This is about creating a society where everyone truly has the opportunity to succeed. It's about living up to the ideals we profess as a nation. It's about recognizing that when we remove the barriers holding people back, we all benefit from their success. As we conclude, I want to leave you with a challenge. Look around your community. Are there public housing developments or Section 8 recipients in your neighborhood? If so, what do you really know about their lives, their struggles, their aspirations? If not, why not? How has your community been shaped by housing policies, both historically and currently? I challenge you to educate yourself about these issues. Read the stories of people living in public housing. Volunteer with organizations working to address housing insecurity. Attend local government meetings where housing policies are discussed. Use your voice and your vote to support policies that create true pathways out of poverty. But most importantly, I challenge you to change the conversation. When you hear someone perpetuating myths about public housing or Section 8 vouchers, speak up. Share what you've learned today. Help others understand the complex realities faced by millions of our fellow Americans. Because here's the truth. The system isn't broken. It's operating exactly as it was designed to. And that means we have the power to redesign it. We have the power to create a system that truly lifts people up, that provides real opportunities for self-sufficiency, that honors the dignity and potential of every individual. Imagine a society where public housing is a springboard, not a trap, where Section 8 vouchers are a bridge to stability, not a barrier to progress, where every American, regardless of their circumstances, has a real shot at achieving their dreams. That's the society we can create. But it starts with understanding. It starts with challenging our assumptions. It starts with each of us deciding that we will no longer accept a system that keeps people trapped in poverty. So I ask you, what will you do with what you've learned today? How will you be part of the solution? How will you help rewrite the story of public housing in America? The choice is yours. The time is now. Let's work together to create a society where everyone truly has the opportunity to thrive. Because when we lift up the most vulnerable among us, we all rise together. Thank you.